Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. We have got to go back to the hospital now, thankfully. We long since did the mission they gave us and we had a bit of a wander. Hello Milton. So, where's Dorothy? Do I need Dorothy? Hold on. Yes, I know, I'm getting distracted again. Where's Dr. Tippets? So I have got to quiz him about some stuff. Oh. I forgot about him in the last episode. Dude, we gave him a knife and that was the worst idea ever.
Hey, Doc.
He's worried me about what he says about Tom.
I'll leave you for now, Mr. Cox.
I'll have a word with Tom. He's really pissed me off this time.
Honestly, I'm not in a good place right now. I like Tom. Dr. Tippets?
Good evening, Dr. Tippets.
Dr. Reid, any good news to share?
I wouldn't say good news. I'd say you're dodgy as hell. What did you do to that patient?
Corcoran, I want you to tell me about Mr. Connor. How did he die? What happened?
He was my patient. He died because of my mistake. That's the blunt truth.
What was the nature of the mistake?
It was a twofold error. My diagnosis was wrong, and the administered dosage was too strong.
Who was this patient?
I don't know. Some sick man from the docks, maybe a fisherman. I had no time to talk with him. No one claimed a body.
You just left it lying there.
Why not stop practicing?
Are you mad? I killed that man, I admit it, and it won't happen again. I have saved so many lives since then.
Why does he still look fresh? You're joking? Are you mad? Are you literally... You're asking if I'm mad? You killed someone.
Goodbye, Dr. Tippets.
Still standing after this epidemic. There's good reason to be proud.
Brannigan?
Good evening, nurse. I'm
Found
Dr.
her.
Jonathan Reid, the new surgeon here at the Pembroke.
Dr. Swansea has already told us about you, sir. I'm Nurse Gwyneth Brannigan. Welcome to the Pembroke Hospital.
Did he really? It's a good thing I wasn't hoping to keep a low profile.
All members of staff have already read about your new blood transfusion technique. Dr. Swansea made sure of that.
Oh,
I
no.
see. Well, I'm a little surprised, but I suppose I'll just have to deal with this unexpected notoriety.
You must know, blood transfusions are Dr. Swansea's primary subject of research. He is convinced it is the future.
How are things here?
Not good, to say the least. We're struggling against an invisible enemy, more lethal than any bullet from a gun. It's hard, Doctor.
An invisible enemy? Quite a poetic term for a disease, especially from a nurse.
Sorry, Doctor. These last few weeks have been exhausting. We could all do with a good night's sleep.
Do you think this hospital can survive the epidemic?
We are all volunteers here, and we're trying to hold fast, but how do we beat an invisible killer? Some nurses have already resigned.
About to be another
I'm
one
not
by the sound of
familiar
it.
with all the staff yet. Perhaps you could help me.
Brilliant professionals, most of them. Dr. Swansea has a gift for recruiting talent.
Most of them. Is there a problem I should know about, nurse?
It would be inappropriate for me to speak ill of a colleague.
Is there anyone that stands out?
Well, I have never met someone as dedicated as Dr. Tippets. He should be a standard for us all here. If only he were younger.
Why should his age be a problem?
I guess it's fair to say he's always pushing himself to the limits. He just doesn't know when to stop and get some rest.
Nurse Brannigan, if you do know something, please tell me. Anything you say will be held in confidence.
No. I may disagree with some conduct, but in the end, everybody is doing their best.
How are things here?
No.
How...
Okay.
Goodbye, nurse.
Dr. Tippets? Is it because you're tired, sir, that you killed someone? Where's he gone? Now he's disappeared on me? What is going on right now? There we go.
Good evening.
Dr. Reid, any...
Wouldn't say it's good news.
You're exhausting yourself, Corcoran. Maybe you should think about preserving your strength.
No. We must keep on healing all those poor souls. We are the last rampart before chaos. Once more unto the breach.
Your mesmerised level isn't great, isn't it?
You've nothing to prove, Dr. Tippets, to anybody. And we all praise your experience. Please, have some rest.
I am perfectly fine, and I am not too old for this job.
Did I mention age?
You've nothing to prove.
I am
Okay, I can't say anything else.
Goodbye, Dr.
Oh, life. Bring the medicine to Dorothy Crane in the patient's room. Which patient? What are you doing? Are you eavesdropping? Huh?
Good evening, Nurse.
Good evening, Dr. Reid.
Goodbye, Nurse.
Blaming me will not further your agenda, sir. How long's it going to take to fix me?
They're arguing?
A year.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reid. Can I be of any help?
You were yelling with a patient,
Goodbye, Dr.
I will not let you down, my boy.
dude.
Good evening.
Good evening, Doc.
Really?
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddy.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Dorothy, hello.
Finally, you've returned, Doctor. Did you find anything of value?
Yes, Nurse.
You've worked your first miracle, Doctor. Now, this patient here needs immediate treatment.
Duty calls. When the storm has passed, I'll show you how to mix the remedy yourself with the same basic ingredients.
Many thanks, Doctor. When you've finished, you ought to report to Dr. Swansea in his office. He's been looking for you. Seemed pressing.
Speak to the patient behind.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
Do you need any help?
I'm afraid I may, sir. I don't mean to be a burden.
I mean, you're in a hospital.
You are not a burden, sir. Healing you is my responsibility.
And you have my gratitude for that.
Why did your mother have you hospitalized here? She seems convinced this is a bad hospital.
My mother just wants the best for me. She won't rest while I'm here. She'd go all the way to hell and back to help me.
Have you been bitten?
Pembroke Hospital may look unorthodox, but rest assured you're in good hands here.
It's not me you have to convince, Dr. Reid. It's my mother.
Is your mother bothering you? As your doctor, I can ask her to leave you alone if you would prefer.
That's tempting, Doctor. But you have no idea what my mother is capable of. She would tie herself to my bed if you asked her to leave.
Oh my god.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'll let you get some rest then.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
I've got a feeling you've not got much else to say,
Good evening,
right?
Doctor. How is my son doing?
Goodbye, Miss.
Who was it that... Where's Dorothy?
Dr. Reid, may I help you?
What can you tell me about the epidemic, Nurse Crane? I've been out of touch since I've come back to England.
Everyday folk don't know how bad it is. The papers certainly won't tell them. Not as long as the war is raging on, anyway.
News on the front stated that the Spanish flu was under control, at least in Britain.
It seemed to be for a while, but that was only last summer. It returned with a vengeance just over a month ago.
What can you tell me about our patients here at Pembroke?
This hospital was founded to help the East End poor and needy.
But since the war and the quarantine, we've had all manner of folk.
Can you be more specific?
Well, veterans, the elderly, dock workers. We even have a few mental patients. If there's space, we take them.
For how long have you been working here, Nurse Crane?
I first volunteered at the Pembroke in 1911, a few months after Dr. Swansea was appointed.
And before you arrived here?
If you must know, this was my first job.
Okay, what year are we in? Because that didn't help me.
Well, Dr. Swansea certainly has confidence in your abilities. Are you in charge of the nursing staff?
Not in an official capacity, but the Pembroke doesn't always work above board, so to speak.
What about medical protocols?
Dr. Reid, we don't have the money and resources here at the Pembroke like they do in the West End. We do what we can.
How is the duty roster organized?
Everybody works until they can't. If there's time, they'll eat a meal and shed a silent tear.
I mean, it's not great that you're walking around with blood all over you, darling. It's probably not making the patients feel very
I'll
safe.
see you later, Nurse Crane.
How do I find out about the person that took money for beds? I spoke to Dr. Strickland. There wasn't anything new, was there? Right, Dr. Swansea. Who are you? Are you the nasty one?
Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor.
Do you require...
I have no need for your medicine.
Oh. I thought she did. Okay, bye.
I'll leave. I cannot enter.
Dr. Swansea?
Please, Jonathan, come in.
Are you quoting Shakespeare? What's going on here?
Fascinating, is it not? In the last decade, so many mysteries have been brought to light with our microscopes. The human body, biology's penultimate frontier.
That's creepy.
The more we explore its boundaries, the less we're able to trace a clear line between life and death. You, my friend, have a foot in both countries. The view must be vertiginous.
It's at least as vertiginous as chatting about vampires with you, I would say.
This must be all so new to you. This area of town, the hospital, a brand new life. How stimulating it must be.
I wish I could share your enthusiasm, Dr. Swansea, but my condition defies scientific categorization. Undead? Unalive? Immortality defies logic.
I cannot express my thrill at this serendipitous turn of events. The world's most eminent specialist in blood transfusions, a vampire. One might say a gift from heaven.
There is an absurd poetry to my situation. Physician, heal thyself.
Forgive me. I've been an admirer of your work for a long time, and now you are so much more than a brilliant physician. And please, call me Edgar.
I'm not some doe-eyed student, Edgar. I understand we both have something to gain from this relationship.
Very well. I have a task for you, Jonathan. Something that will require all your newfound skills.
Please, go on.
The Pembroke only survives through the generosity of our benefactors. Unfortunately, our main donor has found herself in a bit of a bind. Now, if you could help her out...
A spokesman or politician is what you need. That's not my calling. And until I come to understand what has happened to me, I require discretion.
Discretion is in order, Jonathan. Lady Ashbury has recently received rather indelicate correspondence that, if revealed, would jeopardize her position.
And you would like me to eradicate this threat?
By the stole, of course not. I would just like you to pay her a visit. Her ladyship is certainly near the tents outside, tending the sick. You can't miss her. Look for someone impossibly delicate.
Accepted. I'll see what kind of trouble Lady Ashbury is in.
Impossibly delicate. Do you have a thing for her, sir? Dear Dr. Swansea, I must inform you of my deepest reservations concerning the Dr. Thoreau Strickland and Harvey Fiddick case. Oh, it's this dude. Mr. Fiddick has been hospitalised after a severe work injury. He may permanently lose the use of his arm if not treated adequately. Dr. Strickland claims that a surgical procedure may save the man's arm completely. I say it may also sever its functions for good if complications arise. Our young colleague is an audacious and daring surgeon who might prove a great professional in a few years, but for now he lacks the skills to perform such a risky procedure. Need I remind you of the mistakes he made in the past? Since Dr. Strickland refuses to listen to me, I strongly advise you to forbid him to perform such a hazardous experiment. They're going to make us choose, aren't they? What mistakes did Strickland make? I need to know that before I can assume anything. Cash. Dear Dr. Swansea, I will be glad to manage the temporary morgue as soon as it's opened. As I've already told you, I was a doctor during the war and I would be glad to serve my country again. I know it's not the same being a physician for the dead as it is for the living, but I believe it is important to welcome and take good care of our departed. Rest assured, I will do my best to fully perform this new duty to the best of my ability. Concerning the question of my qualifications, I am sorry I can't give you anything more valuable than my parole. I swear to you that my regiment made me a doctor during the war and that I saved many lives. If my word is not enough, you can contact the military administration to verify my experience and skills. They will confirm that even if I never followed any medical What? If you never followed any medical studies? Am I reading that right?
Do you need something, Jonathan?
Yes, conversation.
I have just a few questions.
Then ask away. I'm at your service, Doctor.
You mentioned something about a secret society.
Certainly. I've been a member of the Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole for several years. We are pledged to monitor and report vampire activity in England as impartial scientific observers.
That explains your nightly wanderings about the docks and the questions you ask.
I feel it wasn't mere coincidence that led us to that part of town. There was something as yet unseen that set those chain of events in motion.
Yet you don't fear me. And still, you know the monster that lurks beneath the civilized surface.
The Brotherhood has studied your kind for centuries. We believe you are as supernatural as a lion is to a gazelle.
Okay.
Since I'm the one working for you...
Well, for many years, we have been the only medical facility in this part of town that people can rely on. We support the community here, as well as provide health care.
Yeah, it's a hospital.
Where do we stand today?
Oh, to be honest, we cope on a day-to-day basis. The first wave of the Spanish flu last summer took us by surprise. We lack many of the basic necessities needed.
What do you expect of me?
What we need is hope. You were a soldier. This is a war. This white coat's still a uniform. We fight to help the poor, the sick of the East End, the forgotten.
Since you seem quite the expert on vampires, what could you tell me about my condition and how it came about?
As men of science, our first step is always to start with what we know. Forget the myths, the hackneyed scrawlings, and the penny dreadfuls. They do not scratch the surface of the truth you now find yourself in.
That wasn't an answer, dude.
The sun. The morning following my...
You will find there is very little that can kill a vampire, my friend. You have been offered relative immortality. The sun will most certainly hurt you, leaving you weakened and damaged, but it will not destroy you.
Yeah, we read that.
Must I take a life to live?
You are a vampire. You feed, and blood is the sole sustenance that can sustain your immortal frame. And only a living creature contains the nourishment you require.
The man we pursued and slew in the canning factory, William Bishop, I believe, was he a vampire?
He was a Skald, technically speaking. The debate rages as to their classification. Some think them a subspecies of vampire, others something else.
How do Skalds come into existence?
The name means slave. The etymology may indicate that they are a lesser species of vampire. From what I know, vampires tend to despise them.
Just for clarity, what differences are there between myself and a Skald?
A Skald is easier to eliminate, Jonathan, even if they remain formidable foes for the unprepared. Vampires... Now, vampires exist beyond the mortal realm.
Okay, is that it?
We'll see each other again soon, Edgar.
Onward to Lady Ashbury, by the sounds of it.
So many deaths. And what of my own life?
Oh, look who it is.
The flu took my dear wife, Emily. I take comfort knowing we'll soon be together again.
Redhead.
Mr. Rainfield, that's no way to talk. You're in good hands here, and we'll be up again soon enough. Now do me a kindness and get some sleep. I'll be back round later.
Your words are kind, the blessings of an angel. You're the sweet, sweet Lady of Mercy.
Good evening, Dr. Reid. It's a pleasure to see you again. You seem surprised. Dr. Swansea has brought me up to speed concerning your recent appointment to Pembroke Hospital.
You're a the lady who saved me that night, before vanishing into thin air. I remember you from the pub with Dr. Swansea.
Indeed. Allow me to introduce myself formally this time. My name is Lady Ashbury. I remember you well, in spite of the brevity of our encounter.
I feel played. Swansea fancies vampires. I have to say that.
So it seems our Dr. Swansea does indeed have a fascination for creatures of our constitution.
Dr. Swansea is a remarkable man. Dedicated, one might say, obstinate? He spent years compiling our bestiary.
I hope you're more disposed to answer my questions now.
You must have countless questions, but our rather urgent matter first. Swansea has explained. My cover, if you prefer, has been compromised.
Have any of the patients given you trouble?
These poor souls have so little left to live for. I do my best to ease their pain.
I don't believe or disbelieve her. I don't know her well enough to have an opinion yet. I'll play along.
The world would be a better place if it were cared for by women like you.
You make me blush. I am simply a necessary evil.
Pardon my boldness, your ladyship, but I have questions concerning this condition we share.
As a newborn, your hunger for answers is rivaled only by your thirst for blood. But the questions need wait.
I'm a scientist. My trade is in the deciphering of mysteries, and I need information to feed my mind.
I will gladly answer every question you have, but first, prove yourself capable of resolving my predicament without eating the culprit.
Okay. Who wears the trousers?
Dr. Swansea has commissioned me to be your agent in this matter. You could start by explaining what's amiss.
These past insufferable weeks, I've been the victim of extortion.
Stay on track, though.
I've made a first payment, but the blackmailer grows greedy. I must refuse his most recent demands.
What are your expectations? Please be precise.
As the newly appointed surgeon of this hospital, you are in an excellent position to ask innocent questions and deftly learn the identity of my blackmailer.
Who would be so foolish as to threaten you? A kindred spirit.
Even if it were the case, and I highly doubt it, a vampire would have asked for something more valuable than money. My suspicions lean toward a patient or their family.
If we're dealing with an ordinary criminal, surely you've the means to deal with it yourself, if I may.
As immortal tradition doth dictate, all fangs and hypnotic eyes ablaze, the blood would run like a river. That's what I hope to avoid. Violence has a tendency to spiral out of control.
Oh, please continue.
Please continue. Every detail is essential. I'm your man.
My embarrassment in this matter is eclipsed only by my shame at having put the hospital at risk. The threat from our anonymous scoundrel is clear. A list of dates. My visits coinciding with the dates of suspicious patient deaths due to massive blood loss.
Is it true?
Is it true?
Now aren't you the blunt one?
Answer the question. You're evasive. I need blood too. It is only logical.
We both are afflicted with a thirst for blood, Lady Ashbury. That is our nature. By vocation, we also have reason to visit the hospital. Logic dictates.
In all honesty, I'm not simply a patron to the hospital. My visits serve a dual purpose. Dr. Swansea has been treating my condition with a revolutionary technique of blood transfusion. It seems you are a specialist in the domain.
I'll take care of it. Do you know where I should start?
If that was the case, I'd settle the matter myself. You could talk to our local gossip, Harriet Jones. Not a pin drops here without her hearing about it.
I'll meet that woman now.
My life, as others know, is in your hands, Dr. Reid. I'm sure of your discretion, but I do fear your powers of persuasion will be put to the test. When this is resolved, I'll be your obligé. I'll answer all questions in regards of your condition. Is our little mystery clear?
I think of nothing.
My situation.
Okay. On that note, I think now's the perfect time to end the episode. I think in the next one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to sleep and see how I've destroyed the town. Because I'm nervous to do that, but it is something that I need to do because I have got quite a bit of an XP now that I want to evolve, as it keeps reminding me. And then we're going to go and talk to Harriet and get started on this quest for Lady Ashbury, our lovely redhead. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you join me for the next one. But until then, I hope you all have a good one. See you next time.